Good day. Welcome to Heal with wNonablacktv. Today I will be relaying part of my diabetic journey, part 2. On our last video, part 1 was pre-diabetic. In that video, I detail how I received my very first numbers above that were outside of the range for being pre-diabetic, over 90, my glucose number. And also we talked about I had a strong family history. My mother was diabetic. My grandparents on my father's side were diabetic, severely diabetic, to the point that they had passed away from complications from diabetes before I was born, and I was named after my grandmother on my dad's side, Nona. Also, both of my brothers were diabetic. My oldest brother is deceased now. He was diabetic. And my brother, my second, next to the oldest brother, is also diabetic. As you know, I detailed pretty much everything that I had learned or thought I had learned, trying to be proactive. I did pray God for healing. I am a woman of faith, so I did pray for healing, God, mind, body, and spirit. In that pre-diabetic journey, I did change my eating. I did Weight Watchers, running. I did a high five health challenge thing, some products from there, along with the eating and tracking food. That was one thing I think I forgot to say. I also tracked my food, so I had to really learn. In tracking the food, I learned how different foods were affecting my body pre-diabetic. I had lost over 60 pounds, and I did want to say one thing happened with me in my journey. I was so set on a goal to get to a certain number that I didn't completely always appreciate how much I had lost and how far. Like, I know I did. I know I had worked. I know trying to eat right. But I also was so set on goals, sometimes I forgot to continue to really enjoy the benefits of how far I had come at the time. Moving forward, that was around 2014 when I very first connected with the Black Girls Run group. Within a year, I had lost that amount of weight. So I had done everything, had been to my doctor, researched, thought I was being proactive and making sure that even though I know I had strong family history, that I would do all I could to not cause it to come on. And as I said in the first video, a lot of times people assume that people are eating just, if someone is overset, they're just slobs, just eating, and that wasn't true. I really had not been eating enough. In the Weight Watchers, when I learned how to eat regular foods, and I learned that my body, of course, is a furnace. I had to feed the furnace to get the furnace going. There were certain things that would stimulate my body to burn calories, and along with the activity. And at that time, when I lost over 60 pounds, I ate the most food I really ever ate, because I was eating 3 to 4 a little bit smaller meals, plus a snack in between, and those things. Fast forward to part 2, diabetic. As you know, life happens. Things continue. I was not able to continue to run. Different things happened. I had a car wreck that caused me real pain, so I wasn't able to continue with the Black Girls Run group to the level of pain I had to have. My body was also going through additional changes. A woman of a particular age, found myself coming up against premenopause, perimenopause. And at the time when I was trying to juggle some of all of those situations, I knew stuff that did work, kind of got away from it, went back to it. Was extremely discouraged about the pain level that I had and not being able to do that, all of the activity that I wanted to do. In my mind, my heart, I wanted to do it, but my body just was, at that time, I'm physically not able to keep up what I was doing when my pre-diabetic stage. So I went, as I say, I was that person who got my physical regularly. And I went to my doctor, of course, for my physical. This time, it was the first time that my blood glucose number was above 100. I think it was like 120 something. It's the highest it had ever been. And I was like, okay. So, of course, my doctor was concerned. So my normal process would be to, have my regular physical back in the next year. And so we agreed at that point, instead of waiting a year, we would come back. And I would have new blood work done at 6-month marker instead of the 1 year time frame. Okay. So went on, left. In that time frame, that was prior to me having my surgery. So and this happened to my brother as well. After he had a back surgery he had to have, when he was in the hospital for that, he ended up in the hospital for a spending time because that's when his diabetes kicked in. So I was weary of that, but my surgery was needed. So when I had my surgery, of course I had to do pre-op stuff, approval stuff to get done. I went in the pre-op process, getting ready for my surgery. I had to, of course, take, they check your heart, they check your, you have to take your blood work, had to do COVID tests, all of those things. So in that process, in my pre-approval process for my surgery, unbeknownst to me, because I wasn't told that when I got my clearance, I was told I was clear for surgery, but I did not get the results of that blood work. And it was saying that my blood glucose sugar at that time, right before surgery, was 143, which is, of course, was the highest I had ever seen. I wasn't concerned about my blood glucose at that time because I had caught myself, refocusing to try to eat right. And I wasn't concerned. Only that, I knew, of course, I would have to be as active as possible, try to eat right. So in that process, I had my surgery, got my clearance, but like I said, I never got that information that my glucose was that high right before my surgery. It could have made a difference. It may have not made a difference in the long run, but I feel like if I had that information, it would have made a difference. Remember, me and my primary care doctor had pre-agreed to go back and check my glucose at the 6-month mark to make sure that, see where it was going, how it was tracking, all of that. Had my surgery, of course, continue, heal family. Once I had my surgery, of course I was in pain. I was on heavy meds. I went through that process, you know, of course, process good days, bad days. My mind was, when I was going to therapy, so my mind was really focused on the reason, you know, for my surgery, how things were affecting my body, and rehabilitating and trying to get everything back as close as possible I could. So that was my focus. There became a point in time where I had a great reduction in physical activity just because I just wasn't physically able to. But I would strike out to try to do what I could, walk what I could, that part. And then of course, at one time I was going to physical therapy 5 days a week. So that was my focus. Really didn't think more about my blood sugar because remember the last time I know my blood sugar was high was when I went to my doctor for my annual physical. So at this time, right before my surgery, I did not know that it was in an escalation process higher, so I didn't know that information. As I continued to go to therapy, rehab, that part, I skipped to a point that I wanted to try to wean myself off of some of the heavier medication. In that process, so trying to wean myself off, I kind of started feeling a little bad, but I thought it was just me going away from the medication and then what all my body had been through. So I continued to wean myself, and it came a time where I was, you know, kind of weaned as much as I could be, and I started feeling like I have a metallic taste in my mouth. And I was like, I don't know what that is. It's a metallic taste in my mouth. And of course, I know I was always wanting cold water. So I always wanted cold water. Then at some point I did realize I was probably going to the bathroom to just a regular urination a little bit more frequently. So, and when I start kind of feeling bad, I was like, okay, well, I need to go to the doctor. Oh, I already have an appointment scheduled for my primary care. It's coming up soon, because I was supposed to have my blood work at my 6 months. So it's coming up soon. I'll just go to that. Now, I'll be okay. Not quite sure why I'm feeling a little bad. I don't know what this metallic taste is in my mouth. I feel it had got to the point, and I thought it was because I was weaning myself off the meds from my surgery, and that my body just had that unusual taste, so I didn't really know what it was. Had never crossed my mind, never indicated, never knowing anything about it possibly being a symptom. And right before it was time for me to go to my doctor, I really start feeling really, really bad, to the point that I didn't really want because of the metallic taste, I really wasn't eating a lot. Only thing I could eat was some fruit. Of course, continued to want very cold water. And now that I look back on it, you know, of course, I was going much more frequently than I really realized to the bathroom, you know. So, but I just thought it was because I was drinking water, because when I drink water, I'm going to go to the bathroom because I have high blood pressure medicine I take as well. So when I drink water, it goes right through me pretty much. So I just thought it was that. So up to that time, and I started feeling really bad. My daughter was concerned. She called my son and they were concerned. So this particular time, it was time for me to go to the doctor. They were upset. They didn't even want me to drive to the doctor because I really wasn't feeling well. But I didn't really know why I wasn't feeling well. I just thought that I was kind of, you know, having withdrawals from not taking the pain meds as much. I really didn't know why I wasn't feeling well. I just figured I'll tell the doctor when I get there. So they were concerned enough, like, okay, so I agreed not to drive. Me and my daughter going to my primary care doctor's office. And it's unusual for me because I'm not someone who normally just falls asleep in a car. So because I wasn't feeling really well and I had been sleeping well. So when I was we were in the car going to the going to the primary care, I fell asleep. So I was going kind of a little in and out. My daughter was like, okay, Mom. Her and the Uber driver or whatever, they doing whatever anyway. So I finally had to come to my senses and figure out what was going on. I was like, he's going the wrong way. So we finally do get to the doctor's office. Get to the doctor's office. We in there. So I'm telling my primary care physician, oh, I'm feeling bad. I have this metallic taste in my mouth. You know, whatever. Never crossed my mind that my blood sugar could be extremely high. So my daughter is trying to talk to the doctor. I don't remember this. My daughter says, Mom, she had to tell you to be quiet because you kept saying something and you were talking out of your head. And I was like, really? I don't think so. Because to myself, I felt like I was coherent, but obviously I was not. So my primary care said, well, Miss Britton, you know, can you go straight to the hospital? I don't really know exactly what's wrong, but I've never seen you like this. Something is definitely wrong. Can you go straight to the hospital? So there, me and my daughter go to the hospital. We go to the hospital. Remember getting there with my daughter, going, you know how they take you back at the emergency room. So we're back, we're in there. And I remember them, you know, asking a few questions. I remember them at the process of like, you know, what feel like going on. And then from there, out. I don't remember anything. I didn't remember anything else. So I want you to know that I'm as being open and as transparent with this as possible. And I'm sharing my story because I want to help someone who may be pre-diabetic, may be coming up diabetic, and not knowing the signs, only, you know, knowing the steps that led up to it. In this time frame, what I also did not realize is that my thyroid was out of whack because I was going through perimenopause, menopause. So a lot of different things were going on with my body because I had never ever had thyroid issues before. My thyroid had always been good. Like I say, I was that person going to get my physical. I was that person going to the doctor on a regular basis. As you know, this appointment that I went to was because my blood sugar was high at my physical, that me and my doctor agreed for me to come back at 6 months. Also, a drop point there was when I got my surgery approval, my blood sugar had escalated to about 146. And even though the test results went to my doctor, it was not conveyed to me. I didn't find out the actual blood sugar numbers for that prior to my surgery until way after I was hospitalized. So now I'm at the hospital with my daughter, and I'm out. I don't understand. I don't know nothing that's going on. And when I wake up, I'm in ICU, and I don't know why. Yeah, scary. So I wake up in ICU, in the room. There's no daughter. I don't really understand why I'm in ICU. They're not really telling me why I'm in ICU. They're saying, okay, your blood sugar is very high. We, we got to give you some medicine. We got to get it down, but we have to, we got to do it gradually. You can't, we can't just give you a whole bunch of stuff and it goes down. In this time, also, your potassium is extremely low. So I'm like, okay, I'm confused. So I'm in the ICU. I've been there 48 hours. And in this 48 hours, all I know is they're coming in and they're giving me medicine. And they're coming in and they want to stick me in my stomach and give me some anti-clotting stuff, medicine. And I'm like, why? I've never had any problems with my blood clotting. What is going on? And so they're coming in and out. And I was like, okay, all right. Can't eat anything until your blood sugar gets down to a certain level. It's not, it's going down, but it's not down yet. No one is really, truly telling me what the issue is. If they told me when I was out of my head or whenever they knocked me out or whatever they gave me, I don't remember it. And so finally, I had a male nurse or whatever came in, and I was trying to get some kind of understanding of what was going on. So he was saying, okay, we're not able to, you had your medicine, your blood sugar. I said, okay, well, what is my blood sugar? So he says, okay, I'll come back and give you information. And all he was saying was, you can't eat anything. You can only have ice. You can't even get anything to drink until you have to see the doctor. Okay. So, and another thing I noticed when they was giving me the anti-clotting medicine, I would get sleepy. I guess because my blood would thin out and I wasn't used to it, so I would get sleepy. So I'm in the ICU, I'm looking out the window, the bed is down to the floor, and I'm like, I don't have an understanding of what's going on. So I'm like, when is the doctor coming in? So while I'm waiting for the doctor, I asked the lady again, why was she giving me this anti-clotting medicine? And she couldn't tell me why. Well, when she did try to say that, like, when people were in the bed, in the hospital or whatever, and you're not mobile or whatever, they kind of give it to you to keep you from getting blood clots. I said, okay, I've never had blood clots. I never had any history of blood clots. All right. So, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm not taking no more of that medicine until I talk to a doctor where I get a full understanding why I have to be taking it. Remind you, I truly all I know is they told me my blood sugar was high. I don't even know how high it was. I don't even know what's truly going on with me. So I'm trying to wait till the doctor comes in. So outside my door, I hear like a residency, like it's the doctor and some people around them. And I'm like, okay, for sure they finna come into my room. They're standing outside. Then they're talking about the different patients. This patient this patient that, da-da-da. And they're here, this. And I knew they were talking about me because they said black female, da-da-da, my credentials. And they was like, I gave her da-da-da, XYZ. And the guy said, oh no, you gave her too much. It's on a sliding scale. And I'm like, what the? So I'm like, okay, when they come in here, this doctor better get up in here. It's going to be a situation. So they were outside my room in the ICU doing all that talking, discussing patients and me. Now I overhear them saying they gave me too much insulin, and then they don't come in my room. So, and that, I have the blood pressure cuff on. I have, the heart monitor thing on. So it wasn't like I could just bound out of bed. I'm connected to all this stuff, and to be honest, I really don't know why I got all this stuff on me, but this is what I got on me. I woke up in the hospital like this, so I'm a little confused. So finally, I told the nurse. I spoke to the nurse, waiting on the doctor. She said, well, the doctor will be around. And I said, okay. I said, I'm not going to take no more of that clotting medicine until I see a doctor. She said, okay. I said, why are they giving it to me? And why she was like, wait, in bed. So this nurse took the time to explain to me. I said, okay, so you're saying because I'm laying down in the bed. Okay, well, y'all have me on all this stuff. I said, I can sit up. I said, I don't have a problem sitting up. I feel like I can sit up. So, you know, at that, so I said, well, how many hours a day do I have to sit up so y'all don't have to give me that medicine? She said, you got to sit up at least 4 hours a day. I said, okay, good. Great. I can do that. I said, I just need, you know, whatever to make y'all take the thing off so I can sit into the chair if y'all want to put it on to pull the thing over there. So did that. So I was able to get that done. So by that time, okay, now I'm sitting up. Now getting out the bed and sitting in the chair for a certain many hours a day, making sure I do that so they're not giving me the clotting medicine. And then also, same thing, not able to eat or drink anything, waiting on them to say that my blood sugar is low enough. So I made a point to, okay, I want to get out of here. And then that was another thing. I was trying to get the nurse or the doctor, and I was hitting one button thinking it was that, and it was another button, and or calling out for them and no one coming. So that was the issue, because I don't know if they explained to me when I was in there how it all worked. I must have been out of it and I didn't understand. So I was confused and they weren't telling me anything. So once I was able to get that nurse to really take a few minutes to listen to me and explain to me what was needed, I was able to do that. So I did start feeling some better, but I was also feeling bad. At the time that I was feeling bad, I just assumed it was the insulin that they were giving me is why I was feeling bad, which I later realized part of why I was feeling bad was that my potassium was too low. Even though they had told me my potassium was too low, they didn't really explain that it could be. They were saying, that's one thing they did tell me, because I had the heart monitors on. They did tell me my potassium too low, that could throw my heart out of rhythm. But my heart wasn't out of rhythm. They just was monitoring it all. So, okay. I'm still waiting for the doctor so I can get some kind of clarification. So I said, okay, so, all right, what I got to do to get this potassium up? And then they was like, okay, well, you got to take the liquid. I said, okay. So they bring this liquid in, nasty, disgusting. They said, I got to take 6 cups. I'm like, okay, I can only choke down 4. I said, I can't take 2 more. I know I'm going to throw up. Okay. So this particular day, I've already lost my lunch, my breakfast. They finally start feeding me. I lost my breakfast, lost my lunch. And I told the lady, I said, I can only take 4 of these cups at a time. If I got to take 6, I can't. Okay, ma'am. So then she says, I said, can you put, excuse me, can you put the potassium in the bag? You know, like the regular drip. Oh yeah, I guess we can do that. So I'm like, okay, they did that. That helped get my potassium up. So by this time, so I made a point to make sure that I got up every morning. I got my shower. Finally, there was a doctor came in. I spoke with her. So I'm like, ma'am, what is going on? I'm not getting a full understanding of what is happening. She told me what my blood sugar numbers was at that time. They got it down so I was able to eat. What I didn't know, in retrospect, when I went to the hospital and was into the emergency room that day, when I was down there with my daughter, is they said that I was admitted because my blood sugar was 712. So I go from 90, above 90 pre-diabetic, the 120 at my physical, okay, with my primary care saying, okay, we're going to recheck the sugar in 6 months instead of waiting a whole year. After that, maybe about 4 months later, when I had my surgery and got my pre-approval, it was at 146, which was information I never knew. So after having my surgery, of course, those things not being able to be as active, not knowing that my thyroid was being affected by me in the process of going through perimenopause, menopause, not knowing that my thyroid was throwing things out of whack. And I never had a thyroid issue in my life. My thyroid had always been normal. So it was not on my radar. It wasn't anything that I thought about. And I feel now that helped precipitate my diabetes coming on, along with my strong family history. So when I finally do really get to talk to the doctor, whatever, she basically came to let me know that she would be letting me get out of the ICU and sending me down on the regular floor, that they would, work with me to get insulin, and of course this will admonish me about my potassium, which was extremely low. So at that time, I finally get down, moved to a regular room. I was blessed to have some wonderful nurses down there. So when I did get on that floor, I'm sorry that I don't remember that nurse's name, but she was an angel. She was a godsend to me down there. And she took the time to explain to me some things about how the insulin may affect my body. I was in the hospital a good 4 or 5 days because if you've never been on insulin before, it can affect other things. So they have you stay and monitor you. But she gave me some valuable advice, some information that if she had not given me, I don't know, I would have been completely messed up. So before they discharged me to finally leave, she told me, because one thing about the insulin, it was kind of making my bowels loose to the point it could be uncontrollable. So she told me to make sure that I kept bananas, that I eat bananas, and also my potassium. And she, warned me that, of course, you have to make sure you're taking potassium, because what is in the blood pressure medicine, and it's a lot of blood pressure medicines, stuff that keep your blood pressure down, it's also pushing out nutrients. And so potassium is one of those. I didn't really realize it, but I think I maybe had been on it before. No, I hadn't been on it before, I don't think. But so because it was this low this time when I was in the hospital, then afterwards I started taking it. So I had to take that on a regular basis. So she, was like, okay, you got to make sure you take the potassium and keep your potassium level up, because like you say, it can throw your heart can get thrown out of rhythm. So those things, valuable advice that she gave me. And also she was like, if you eat something, if you feel like it, is affecting you particular kind of way, to track it and then keep up with it. So the doctor I had down there, gentleman, African gentleman. He was very good as well. He took the time to explain, you know, kind of what he was looking for, my numbers and stuff. He didn't really go back to why I was admitted and everything. He just wanted to make sure, you know, how I was living, making sure I was able to, you know about if I would be able to get my shot when I went home. He, of course, prescribed my meter, my test strips, and my insulin, of course, when I was discharged and sent home. Mind you, at that point, I was so ready to get out of there. That was the only thing that's on my mind. I'm like, let me get out of here. I really didn't even know, even at that time, the reason why they fully admitted me was because my blood sugar was 712, because no one really conveyed that to me in the hospital. So you know how you get home, they send you one of them studies, and yeah, I was adamant about everything that happened to me while I was in there in that study. So the hospital did call me. I give them credit because I ripped them one. And so the lady did call me. We discussed everything. So I had read, of course, my paperwork. So I'm trying to figure out what was all wrong. Why did they actually admit me? So my nurse, part of my health plan, called me. And she was like, well, it's got something on here down here about your heart. I think that's probably why they admitted you. I was like, you don't know why they admitted me? So I'm like, okay. So some paperwork, it did have something in there about my heart. And then also when the lady called me from the survey that I filled out, and I explained to her what happened when I woke up in the ICU and I did not know what happened. So when I was down in the emergency room and you know, went in there, once they saw my blood sugar was high, they pretty much just pushed my daughter out of the room, and they gave me some and knocked me out, because it was not like I was sleepy. I wasn't feeling good, but I wasn't sleepy. So they gave me something and knocked me out. And that's why I didn't remember anything. I wake up and I'm in ICU and I'm like, where's everybody? Where's my daughter and how I'm up here? And I don't know if they told me when they took me up there, we admit you because your blood sugar is 712. I don't remember no one ever saying that to me while I was in the hospital. So I didn't know till after I got out. And me and the lady had a long discussion of everything that was into the survey. So now I'm what they call diabetic. So I'm a type 2 diabetic, and now I have to take insulin and stuff. So I'm like, okay, it is the situation. You know, I felt like I fought it off pretty much as long as I could, with strong family history. If I had knew and understand a little bit more about what was going to be happening to my body with my perimenopause, menopause, and the possibility of my thyroid going completely out of whack, I would have known that would have affected my body and into what was happening with me and my diabetes. I would have been able to research it more, or have more idea what I could do or couldn't do, or like been proactive with my primary care and say, okay, well, you know, I'm going through menopause. Is that going to affect my thyroid? Because I had never had thyroid issues. It didn't even cross my mind. Also, my, that part was done. So I'm out now, taking the medicine. And there's times when I'm feeling bad, and I assume that those times that I'm feeling bad is coming from the insulin that I now have to take. What I later realized was the weakness, some of the weakness I was feeling feeling easily like I could possibly just pass out, or just feeling a bit unsteady when I was, up or walking or standing. Wasn't the insulin, it was more my potassium was low. So once I was able to realize, taking my potassium, I was feeling better. I started to be more proactive in making sure I took it. I would take it in the morning. I would take it, at least twice a day. And then I would be sure not to miss. And so once I was taking it more consistently, then I would start feeling better. So now I'm home. I'm diagnosed diabetic. I'm sent home with insulin, 2 types of insulin, a long-acting and fast-acting. So, okay, there's some things I know that work. It's not like I have to eat. Not to say that I was really eating that bad before I went into the hospital, because I really wasn't. That was part of the problem. Probably, again, I wasn't quite eating as much as I should. I still was eating pretty healthy. I wasn't having the physical activity that I to the level I was when I was with Black Girl Run. I just couldn't do that amount of physical activity. But for the most part, I was. And a lot of times I would buy like Gatorade Zero or stuff. And, when I had surgery, people, brought me stuff like that. But if it wasn't zero, someone or something where I would, try to eat it or drink it without the sugar. Because remember, my primary care, so I was already trying to cut back some on sugar. If I got something from someone else, I would go ahead and drink it. I didn't think it would make that big a difference. I didn't realize my glucose number had already escalated to the 146, because I never knew that before until after I came out of the hospital. Then going back, trying to go back through everything and trying to figure out, how do we get from here, from 120 to here to 712? That was what I embarked to find out what happened. And in that, also, like I said, one thing I learned, my OBGYN, learning more about the thyroid thing. She says it's like the traffic stop, cop. Like you're red for stop, green for go, yellow for caution. So the thyroid is that traffic stoplight. So when it's not functioning correctly, that's another thing. I'm at a point where I'm not able to lose weight now at this time. And that's because my thyroid is out of whack. So it won't let me lose weight because it's on red and it's not where it needs to be. It has to be at a certain level and be that level for me for it to work and release. And then all of this, of course, the thyroid issue never started until I, went through perimenopause, menopause. So learning to live with being diabetic. So now I'm home. I have my meter. I have the insulin, the fast acting, and the maintenance one. So I'm vigilant about taking it. I also, when I came home, all right, Hill family. I am now home. When I first got diagnosed diabetic with my glucose monitor, the strips, my insulin, long acting, and fast acting. So I embarked to take my blood sugar as often as the doctor said I needed. I think I had prescribed 3 times a day because I really wanted to see how foods interacted with how it affected me, and also how with the insulin, you know, how foods acted or how they affected my body. So as I said, I was taking a minimum of 3 times a day, and sometimes I would take more because I just wanted to see how different foods actually interacted with my body. So I would, of course, take, they tell you to take it, your insulin, and take your blood sugar, glucose right after. Some say you take it, take your numbers 2 hours after you eat. So I did it the way they trained me to do it when I was in hospital, so I kept that up. Also, I would take it sometimes after I've eaten. I had to wait at least 2 hours, but I wanted to see, like, if I ate a particular food, how did it make my blood sugar react? So when I came, and then also in that tracking, that's when I was able to see that if I ate something that had potatoes, rice, would really spike my blood sugar numbers. Also, in tracking what I ate, I also noticed that when I ate, and if my last meal, because I do eat a lot of salads. I'm that person, I can eat salads every day. And if you've seen in my food videos, you know I love tomatoes. So, but I can eat salad every day. So, but I also learned that I would have my fruits more in the morning. Then it seemed to, more in the early part of the day, it seemed to help my blood sugars, you know, not be as bad the following morning or in the later part of the day. Also, I learned, and that was just really tracking my food and seeing. I didn't notice it in the beginning, but you know, sometimes I just want to eat my salad and I don't have to have meat on it. So I just noticed that when I was tracking my blood sugar, and in my last meal, if I ate a salad and I didn't have any meat with that dinner portion for the day, that my blood sugars were, my numbers were very low in the morning. I would can go under 90. I would be under 100 in the morning. So that was good. Even though I was still diabetic, and I knew that, you know, my numbers indicated at that time range, once I got home and really, you know, got on the schedule, was taking my long-acting medicine. And a lot of times I wouldn't even need my fast-acting medicine. I maybe would need it more around the lunchtime. That's, I think, more because I ate breakfast and then I ate lunch. Sometimes I wouldn't even need it because my number would be below 150, and then I wouldn't need the fast-acting medicine. But the evenings, or sometimes in the evening, like I said, if I didn't eat meat with my salad or whatever I ate, veggies or whatever, if I ate that and I didn't eat any type of meat, then my numbers were lower in the morning. So that was a good thing. So maybe not eat a vegan day every day, but, you know, maybe 2-3 days out of the week, or, you know, however. And I also, when I was doing, in my pre-diabetic journey in part 1, I remember telling you about meal prep, and there was one thing, I did mention the meal prep, but I did want to mention something in that. When I did the meal preps, and a lot of times like the cabbage, or, you know, whatever kind of greens you put in there, I think my daughter likes string beans, we both love the Brussels sprouts. But whatever week, some weeks it would be fish, sometimes it would be chicken, most time it would be something like that, and not necessarily beef. And the weeks that I had fish in my meal preps, when I was tracking it, I noticed I did lose more weight those weeks. I did lose weight even when I had chicken, but it was a little, I seemed to lose a few more pounds on the weeks that I had fish as the meat in my meal preps. Back to being home diabetic and tracking. So even though my numbers, so of course, I've come down from the hospital being diagnosed diabetic, when they admitted me, what they said it was a 712 glucose. So now I'm home and I'm tracking it and eating and, you know, getting in the exercise that I can. And my numbers are ranging from, I would say 87 to something. True enough. Okay, now, you know, it's almost the time to go back to see my primary care doctor and endocrinologist, and adding a new doctor, endocrinologist. So like I said, by this time I go back to my primary care doctor. Oh, she does my blood sugar work. So I went from a high, of course it was that high when I was in the hospital. And that was another thing, when they give you your A1C3 number, a lot of times people don't realize that they give you an average of the last 3 times they checked it. So even if you change what you're doing and your number's going down, remember they're gonna still be using some of that old history to calculate your number. People may not know that. But so I went from a high of A1C3 of 14 to presently being down to A1C3 of a 5.5. But in that time frame, when I went back to my doctor, of course, they didn't prescribe me this stuff from the hospital. So now I got to get new prescriptions from my primary care. And of course, they referred me to the endocrinologist. She pretty much kept most of what I had and sent me to the endocrinologist. So off to the and she prescribed me a low dose thyroid pill because my number was below normal. And so she diagnosed a 0.10 medicine. So then I started taking that as well. So like I say, in between that time, I'm diligent about checking. I have my results, you know, keeping up with it, really seeing how my blood, because I wanted to go, I'm going to a new doctor. I wanted to say, okay, this is what I've been tracking. This is my numbers. This is what I have. This is how it's going. So I go to the endocrinologist. I see the lady. And that first visit didn't go well. She prescribed me metformin at 1,000 milligrams. And I'm new to being diabetic. I feel like 1,000 milligrams is an excessive amount. So, you know, and I'm asking her, you know, why so much? She's checking my feet and all that. And I'm like, I don't have any problem with my feet. I'm newly diabetic. I walk, you know, I've never had like that circulation issues. Fine, everything's fine. So she's just constantly sticking me. And I'm like, I feel it. All is well. There's nothing wrong with my circulation. Everything is well. But so she wanted me, I forgot something she wanted me to do. No, she was upset because I was questioning her because I had heard something about metformin, and they had a medicine where it was recalled because it was causing cancer or something. And she seemed to be upset because I questioned her about it because she's prescribing it for me, and then she has this high dosage of 1,000 milligrams. Like I said, the first visit didn't really go well. I come home with the medicine, you know, go get it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me talk to my primary care before I start taking these 1,000 milligrams, which I really don't think I need because, like I said, by that time, I had been tracking my blood sugars regularly, started at the going, you know, sometimes as low as 87 in the morning, which is a normal range. Highest 200 something, 250, 260, but, you know, not over 300. Below that, or, you know, more closer between the 2 and the 100 range. So when I go to my primary care, she and we, you know, discussion, telling her about the medicine that was prescribed. And I explained to her I felt like that 1,000 milligrams was excessive. She went over, basically told me that they recommended before the long-term health of your kidneys, your organs, XYZ. So this is primary care I've been going to many, many years. And that was the thing. When I went to her that day that I was admitted to the hospital, that appointment, you remember I told you I had a 6-month follow-up from the first time my blood sugar was over 90. And we had agreed to the 6-month checkup to check my blood sugar numbers. That was the appointment that I already had on the books when I wasn't feeling well and I was going back to the doctor. But at that time, it was already too late because my blood sugar was 712 when I went to the doctor that day, and I was admitted to the hospital, which I had no clue that it could escalate that fast, that quickly. But like I say, I never had thyroid issues before either. So all of this stuff is going on and changing in my body at that particular time with stuff I had never had before. So I didn't realize, and that was another reason that I wasn't feeling as well. Another reason I was having the metallic taste in my mouth. Of course, you know, thirsty and constantly drinking water. And then, of course, you know, having to go to the bathroom frequently. And I'm just thinking because I'm drinking so much water. But when we discussed what the endocrinologist prescribed, she said, okay, well, don't take the 1,000, just do 500, break it in half, do 500 milligrams. And, you know, but you really need to take it for the long-term health of your kidneys, which is the only reason I actually took the metformin medicine. So as I took the metformin, I go home. So I'm continuing to do the same thing, checking my blood sugar, all those things. Took the metformin medicine. And I noticed, like, in tracking it, because I was very diligent about checking my glucose and checking it, you know, the minimum 3 times a day, sometimes more, because I was checking it with different foods as well, that my numbers weren't going down. And I'm like, if I'm taking 500 milligrams of this, why is my numbers not going down? And then slowly, it seems like my number was creeping up. And I'm like, why is my numbers getting worse? They weren't this high before I was even taking the metformin. And then the wheels fell off. Because by the time I was into taking the metformin for 2 weeks, I started, noticed that my numbers started escalating. I start feeling bad more often. And by this time, you know, I was like, I'm not taking this because it's not helping my numbers. I'm tracking them all the time. And instead of my numbers going down, they kind of plateau, and then they feel like they start going up. And then as I noticed, the more they go up, then I was starting to feel bad again. And then I called my doctor, and I'm like, you know, why are my numbers going up? I said, I'm being diligent about what I'm eating, diligent about this, that, and the other. So, and then I was like, it feels like, I don't know, it just feel like it was messing with the wiring or something in the back of my brain or something like that. But I ended up going back to my primary care doctor because, like I said, I wasn't feeling good, and I know I needed a refill for my regular blood sugar my insulin, the one I take, my long acting and stuff. And she was like, well, you have to go to another endocrinologist from the one you went to. And I was like upset because, like I said, I only took that metformin medicine because, like she was saying, it was for the long-term health. By this time, even though I had stopped taking the metformin, my blood sugars were like a runaway train. It was every day. It was over 3. It was over 4. It was over 500. To the point of it was going back to 6. Then my doctor was saying, you know, well, I know you start taking the metformin, but you got to go back to taking it. I'm like, it didn't start going out of this runaway train until I took it. And then, so you want me to go back to taking it? I was, at that time, I was a little bit desperate because I got these high starting to escalate numbers, and I don't really truly understand why. I know that the medicine has adversely, I feel like, affected me, but my numbers are going so high that they got to get them under control. So that went on for like, it was coming up close to the holidays, and people weren't taking new patients because I had to find a new endocrinologist, trying to work with my doctor. And then she was like, well, if your number goes by a certain point, just go to the hospital. And I'm like, okay. Not just wanting to go to the hospital for nothing, but the numbers constantly escalating, feeling bad. It was just day after day after day, repeat after repeat after repeat. It seems like it didn't matter what I ate or not ate. Even then, I was trying to eat well, my numbers were skyrocketing. When I didn't eat, my numbers were skyrocketing. I'm like, I didn't even really eat anything that much today. My numbers are skyrocketing. What is going on? And I felt like something, I don't know, in that medicine just set it all on a wayward course. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I was feeling really feeling pretty sickly. I tried some natural health stuff. I, went to that because I had stopped taking the metformin. So I tried some natural health stuff. It helped some. I noticed that when I ate celery, my numbers will be a little bit less. So I did that. That helped a little while, and then till it stopped really helping. And I remember one day just being completely fed up and just tired of feeling bad. Friends, family was praying for me. I was praying for me. And I remember just feeling really bad. I had just been feeling sick. Had been feeling sick for day after day after day. And I remember calling my friend, and I just kind of had like a breakdown moment. And I was like, I am tired of feeling bad. I could just cry right now, 'cause going back to that day. Man, God is faithful. But I was like at my wit's end. I was distraught because I felt like, even from the very beginning, even though I tried to be proactive and do the things that I was supposed to do, and then trying to, do what I was supposed to do, going to the doctor, knowing that the diabetes is a disease that I do need some medication for, but the people I'm going to, my doctors, and trusting that they would have my best interest at heart, and then also knowing that pharmaceutical companies and what they're giving, you have got to read those side effects. They're gonna, they'll be telling you, they may tell you something, but what I've learned, if you don't ask the pointed questions, a lot of times they won't give you the information. You got to research it yourself as well. You got to read as well. And everyone is different. Everyone's body is different. In that instance, when I broke down and I was just telling my friend, and I remember her, saying some things to me, it helped calm me down. And I remember, you know, just praying God. I remember just being tired of being sick, tired of feeling bad. And so I left from that event. Of course, had to refocus, eventually getting a new endocrinologist. But that went on for a while. That went on for a few months because it was coming up close to the holidays. They weren't taking. And then eventually I was able to get in with a new endocrinologist. And I tell you, when I went in there, I was very honest with her. I told her my issues with metformin. I told her to be honest. I know I do need some medication, but I'm very wary of taking anything that you want to give me or prescribe me because I don't trust it. And I was honest about that. And I am still with that endocrinologist now. And I'm with her because she took up the few minutes to really listen to me and not judge me, that I wasn't just going to fall for anything that she told me to take or anything that she prescribed, to know that I had reservations. I had already taken stuff that I felt like counterproductively acted with my body. And then when I tried to speak to my healthcare professional about it, I felt like it was dismissed, kind of like, okay, you know, yeah, I know that didn't work, but can we move forward? Okay, no, I put my life in your hand, and I only took this medication because you told me it was going to be for the best health for me and my kidneys and my long-term organ care. That's why I took it, even though I had reservations about it. But I had to also know, yes, there are some natural remedies. Yes, you can do that. Yes, I did pray and fast and ask God to heal me. And I am on a better side now. And in my part 3 of my diabetic journey, I will get into that and explain it to you more. So I went from the worst of the worst, which was A1C of 14 to A1C of 5.5 in the normal range. But I went through a lot. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes questions. It takes educating yourself. You have to know what your insurance is. I was able to take a diabetic class. In the beginning, I wasn't able to. It was just like, okay, well, you can take it, but the class is $750. You got to pay your whole deductible first. And so I wasn't able to take it at first right away, but when I was able to take it, I felt like it was some benefit. It did help me. So you have to know your health plan. We'll get into that even a little bit more on the next video. I don't want, this one is getting a bit longer than I anticipated, but I want to be open and honest with you about some of the things that I went through, because if I can help one person, who's diabetic, who's pre-diabetic, who's premenopausal, who's menopausal, or having an issue and you have no clue what's happening with your body, you never had past history of thyroid issue, you never have been diagnosed diabetic before, and if it's something I can say in my journey and I share it with you, like I said, when I was diagnosed, I was just eager, hungry to learn more, to educate myself, to learn how foods were affecting my body differently, how the insulin was affecting my body, different things. Across my journey, God put people in my path who looked out for, who were angels for me, who did help me, who were honest with me. I thank God every day for that nurse. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would be, because if she hadn't told me about the bananas and then making sure that, and my potassium and stuff, that she was adamant about saying it to me, but she took the time to talk to me and explain with me, and she didn't have to. She know me from a can of paint, but she was just a very nice lady, and she helped me when I was in the hospital, when, you know, my body's going through all kinds of changes, because the insulin was, wreaking havoc on my system, and I didn't know what to do or how to control it. And then also, you know, with the potassium and stuff like that. And even into my first, you know, coming home and taking everything, like I said, a lot of times when I first was feeling bad and stuff like that, I thought it was the insulin making me feel bad, but it wasn't the insulin making me feel bad. It was that my potassium was so low and I wasn't getting enough of it and keeping up enough of it. And once I realized, you know, because I had been taking it because what she said, and once I realized and I was taking enough and I was making sure that my potassium was up, I started to feel better. I stopped feeling so lightheaded and feeling like I could just fall out or pass out. You know, there was some things that I stopped doing because I didn't want to be out somewhere and fall out or pass out because I felt lightheaded. So I thank God for her. Thank God for those. I thank God for everyone who prayed for me. And ultimately, I feel like God did answer my prayer because I never could have got from an A1C 14 down to an A1C 5.5 without God, you know, giving me wisdom and direction, putting the right people on my path, and also giving me godly wisdom to know, yes, I got to continue to eat right. Yes, I have to take my meds. Yes, I have to do, you know, holistic methods as well. And it all has a part to play. And also feeding my mind, body, and spirit. Originally what I pray for, again, to be able to have to trust, getting to the point of completely trusting him. So if, like I said, my journey can help anyone, that's why I'm sharing it. Know that, you know, it's a journey, but it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to question your healthcare professional. It's okay to call your insurance company and ask them what your benefits are, what you know you have, and if something. One thing I do want to say about the metformin, and I'll get into this more in my part 2 journey. There was the diabetes class, educational class that I did take. And in that class, one lady was a nurse and stuff like that. And I was explaining, you know, you have to introduce yourself. In one part, I was telling her about I felt like metformin had made me worse and not better. And when she replied to me, she said, I hear that from so many patients. And I asked her point blank, I said, why are they continuing to prescribe this to people when people are having bad outcomes with it? Why are they continuing to prescribe this for people knowing that they're having bad outcomes? Enough for her to admit that she had had many patients complain and said that they felt bad, but the doctors are still prescribing it. And also had, you know, cases for people who I know who took it. And a lot of them had same complaints. They felt bad. They felt like it made them worse. Their blood sugars didn't get any better. They felt like it got worse. And maybe 1 or 2 people who said, well, it's about the same. I don't think it you know, adversely affect me, but also they still having high blood sugars. So that being said, I'm coming to the close of this video in my diabetic journey. So you've heard the beginning of my pre-diabetic journey, now into my diabetic journey, to my part of my harrowing experience going to the hospital and being diagnosed diabetic with my 712 blood sugar that I didn't find out that I had to be admitted, and woke up in ICU and then find out after I left the hospital why they truly had admitted me and what my numbers were. Thank you for watching. I will be putting out part 3 next week, and I'm going to get into I don't think it will be a conclusion, but it will be like an update of where I am from that process to where I am now, as it's going to be a continual journey as far as the diabeticness. And hopefully, if I can learn something, share your experience. If you have any questions, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. But if you have a comment, comment in the comment section. Question or something I can answer. I'd like to hear your journey. Did you have any problems when you were first diagnosed diabetic? Did your endocrinologist, did you find someone that you could talk to who will listen to your issues? Did you struggle with your A1C3 at a high number? What have you been doing to get your numbers to go down? And if you haven't been able to get your numbers to go down, what are you currently trying? So if there's any information that I can share that possibly could be a help, I'm welcome to do that. And we're family over here at Heal with Nona Black TV. Thank you so very much for supporting me and watching. Of course, when I'm doing these diabetic videos for the week, I'm also going to put out a little snippet video of some food. So, you know, watch out for that as well. Like, comment, share, and subscribe the video. And I pray, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. You be blessed, and I'll pray for you, and you pray for me.